Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! We are from a country where there are lots of stray animals. There is a rule among an organization of animal activists. Let's shorten it to OAA. Forbids roaming pets, meaning pets are to be kept strictly indoors and outdoor pets are considered strays regardless of microchip or collars. That is only applied to that OAA, not recognized by the law, but laws here don't protect animals much in the first place. OAA has become its own animal police. Unless something causes serious damage, the real police just chills about this topic. When I say OAA, you can imagine those Karen type who post lots on social media about the struggles of being parents, feeders, and rescuers and complain about how evil human beings are. My friend's cat, a beautiful black Maine Coon mix named Mavis, broke out from a loosened mesh and went missing for 2 weeks. She put up posters and social media posts, searched high and low, and finally found it when somebody notified her that they saw Mavis' photo on the OAA group among rescued cats for adoption. She then tried to contact OAA, but they refused to return it to her, saying that she had failed as an owner and exposed it to dangers outside, and they proceeded to block her. She tried to call the police, but at the rate they were going, it is likely to either be forgotten or take months. I decided to take action myself while my friend tried to bring it to social media and other animal organizations for help, figuring those entitled people from OAA would screen Mavis adopters more carefully now that the owners had shown up. I contacted OAA and offered to adopt another cat, Sunday. The one in one of the adoption pictures kept beside Mavis was one eye blind. They were delighted as a one-eyed cat is harder to be adopted. We then exchanged messages and phone calls for long hours about the information regarding the Sunday's health and personality, what I should prepare and look out for, financial status, having to take it slow, and so on. It was detailed like a serious adopter. Finally, after 2 days, I requested to pay the Sunday a visit, and they gave me the address of the foster, where I could try to see if we were compatible. Sure enough, Sunday was in a cage right next to Mavis. It was almost too easy to ask for some alone time with her. Grab Mavis and leave when the fosterer was not looking. I felt sorry for Sunday and the foster lady, who really seemed like a nice lady, but my goal was to get Mavis out, and I did. I plugged all the contacts from OAA and my friend and her cat reunited. All the information I gave was fake, and they could not track me down without calling the police, which I hope remained useless. My friend would back me up anyway. She had all the evidence that I'm just returning a lost cat to her rightful owner. The only regret was that Sunday was left behind after giving her false hope. I had no intention of adopting her in the first place. A day later, I received information that OAA has microchipped Mavis. She was not microchipped, but had color with a name on it. They did so after her rescue, and they were looking for us online for theft and microchip fee and cooked up post of a sub-story of an abused and abandoned cat rescued but stolen by an evil fat woman. Now that's rude. Our reaction was like, what the hell? Who gave them the right to microchip somebody else's cat? And named it Moon. My friend kept quiet about it, and they had no proof that they got anything to do with it. The story got more elaborated later on as those people from OAA posted more on social media claiming that Mavis was a breeding cat for illegal selling of kitties and was scheduled to be spayed before being stolen. They managed to get an angry crowd swearing to find me and burn me at a stake. Me and my friend were like, what the actual hell? Mavis was spayed years ago. Their post was either nonsense, or were they actually going to have Mavis opened up again? We managed to dig out Mavis' old pictures from when she was a kitten to the ones showing her scar after sterilization. With some help from other people on social media, we told our story and toppled over OAA's nonsense, and I have to say, it was so satisfying to see the crowd's arrow turn, and the entitled people from OAA ended up just complaining how everybody were mean to them when they were trying to save the world. Another good news was that Sunday got adopted after this drama, and looking at her update, it seems that Sunday is adjusting well. I could finally stop feeling guilty for leaving her behind. She deserved much more, and she got it. Finally, I have a story to share, which just happened to me while on vacation this week. We were on a cruise and had just docked at port, and we were all waiting patiently in line to leave the ship for shopping and activities, when a wild, entitled mother appeared and proceeded to push around the line with her kid in a stroller. I tell my wife to look at the witch. She thinks she's too good to stand in line with the rest of us. The entitled mother hears and turns around and says that she is in a hurry and has to leave the ship quickly. When we got to the security processing booth to exit the ship, we saw her. Karma had got her and she was stuck behind a group of older people that had lost their ID cards. Me and the wife walk into a different line for the booth next to where she is and pass her while talking about how good it was. We didn't make the mistake of getting into that other line. We left the ship and she was still waiting in line. We started making our way to shore at the customs checkpoint at that end of the pier. The entitled mother finally caught up with us right before we were getting in line for customs. She once again goes around the main line and proceeds to the disabled person's line. Enter Karma again. Today, their custom agents in the port had dog searching for prohibited items, and guess who they immediately go and sit next to? The entitled mother had ignored the dozens of warnings to not bring any fruit or veggies off the ship, and prop bananas and grapes off of the ship. The customs agents pull her off to the side and start talking to her. We overhear that she was telling them that she had to keep them so her kid could have snacks while they were off ship. We made our way through and proceeded into the shops. The last I saw, she was still at the checkpoint when I looked over there around 20 minutes later, and it looked like she was yelling at the officers. I am not sure what happened after that. I really hope she got arrested or was at least told she couldn't leave the ship anymore. So here is where the story begins. Last week my birthday was on Sunday, so my parents decided that we would go out to Yuma, Arizona to get myself my first truck. I had no clue why they were bringing me out there. We got there, got the truck and brought it home. Okay, so now it's Wednesday and I'm out front changing the oil on it, and I hear my gate shake. I look up and see the entitled mom out front aggressively shaking the gate. "Excuse me, ma'am, this is a private property," I say to her. She stops shaking the gate and says, "Hey, do you own that little SUV?" She said that because it looks like an SUV because it has a camber shell. Yes, I do. "Are you selling it?" "No, sorry, but thanks for asking." $700. "What?" "I'll give you $700 for it." "Ma'am, I already said no." Please, my son needs it." Cue her pointing to her probably 6-year-old son. Now at this point I'm getting kinda pissed, because she's not letting up and my patience was already stupidly low because of this oil change. "Listen lady, I'm going to ask you one more time nicely. Please leave my property." "Give it to me now, you racial slur." "Because I'm clearly part Italian." Alright, now this part makes me lose my cool and I agree I said some things I shouldn't have. "What the heck did you just say to me, you short witch?" "You heard me. You same racial slur, go back to Italy." She then checks the gate more. Me walking back to get my baseball bat and to call the cops so I don't commit murder. And she keeps shaking the gate even more now. I step forward now with my baseball bat and say, "I'm gonna go full Salieri on you if you don't leave now." Bonus points for people who understand that Italian reference. The entitled mother sees me with a baseball bat and screams, "Come any closer and I will call the cops." So I step closer. Too late, toots. I already did. Points to a cop car pulling down my street. The cop steps out of the car. "Officer, this slur stole my SUV and refuses to give it back." "Nope, I didn't." Alright, everyone calm down. I'm going to talk to OP first, then I will talk to the lady, okay? "Okay." Alright. The cop walks over to me as the entitled mother tries to enter the driveway, and the entitled mother is then told to stay put. Why should I stay put? He stole my SUV. Ma'am, stay put, or I will be forced to detain you. Fine. Sir, do you have any cameras around here by any chance? Yes, I do actually. The old owner of the house was paranoid and put cameras up. May I please see the footage? Yes, you may. I take the officer inside while the other officer is watching the entitled mother. Now inside, the cop watching footage that shows the entitled mother attempted to break in. The other cop from outside yells, "Ma'am, stay back, ma'am." Then a sound of a taser being deployed. The first cop runs outside, and I run with him. Cut to the entitled mother lying on the ground with a knife in her hand and a taser stuck to her arm. What the actual hell happened? The first cop asks, and the other cop answers him, "She charged at me with a knife." Alright, put her in handcuffs. This is illegal! I know my rights. Good, then you know you have the right to remain silent. Then he closes the car door. Would you like to press charges now? No. I think she has a lot waiting for her already after what she did to the officer. Alright, have a good day. He gets in his cruiser and leaves. And that's the end of the story. Last thing I knew, the entitled mother was going to be facing 15 years for attempted murder of a law enforcement officer. So let me explain what happened. About a month ago, I put on a local second-hand selling website that I was selling my PS2. I didn't say why. I got about 3 calls, but none of them actually bought it. One day, I got this woman calling me about the PlayStation. She asks for the price, and I give it to her. She then asks why it's so expensive, and I tell her that it's actually a good price in comparison to the other people selling in my area. She says okay, and we meet up at the mall. Here is how the conversation went. Are you X? I ask. The entitled mother also brought her son. Yeah, that's me. So I said, this PlayStation comes with everything, and I want X price for it. The entitled mother outright takes my bag with all of the things out of my hands and shows it to her son. The son touches the PlayStation a little bit and then says, "Thanks, mommy." Well, thank you for the PlayStation. I'm sorry, but you forgot to pay me. What do you mean pay? You said in the texts you didn't need it. She really shouldn't have mentioned the texts. I know exactly what I wrote in the texts, and I can show it to you if you want. I then grabbed with force the bag from her son. Then the entitled mother screamed, "This man is stealing my bag!" And then a guard came and asked if I stole anything. I told him I was supposed to sell her this PlayStation second-hand, and we agreed that she would buy it. But I didn't get paid, and she tried to take it from me. The guard was somewhat confused and wanted to see the texts, and I showed him the texts and also told him about the phone call recordings. I have an app that records phone calls. He goes over everything and asks if I can prove that this is a woman in the texts. So I can call her, and her phone rings. The guard believes me and tells the woman to pay the accepted price. The entitled mother begins throwing a tantrum about how men are greedy pigs and are ruining the world and she needs to have it for free or else. Or else? I'm going to call a guard to tell him to detain you. You know there is a guard right next to us and he knows the full story, right? The guard is very confused about how the entitled mother completely forgot about him. Meanwhile, the son stands there confused. Then I say that I will skip this offer and find a better one, and I thank the guard for his help. Then the entitled mother begs me to give it to her and I decline. She then asks as I'm walking away to pay me a bit over the normal price, and I ended up accepting that offer, and she indeed pays me. I walk away and her son starts asking her why she paid since she first said she found it for free. I hear this and cringe very hard. Later that night she called me and said I scammed her because it wasn't booting. And this is how that went. My PlayStation isn't booting, you pig. Did you turn the switch on the back? Yes, I tried to boot with it on both sides and nothing happened. Did you plug the video cables in the right way? What's a video cable? It's a cable with one weird connector on one side and composite RCA plugs on the other side. What do you mean video cable? Didn't you say it had HDMI? I never said anything about HDMI. What? But my son told me the PlayStation had an HDMI port. There are 4 different PlayStations. Only two have HDMI. This one doesn't. Then why didn't you say that to me? I thought you knew what you were buying. The entitled mother begins throwing another tantrum, but I hang up and block her number. I was working as a cashier at a convenience store and my manager was convinced that I was stealing from the register. He would constantly hover over me and watch my every move. I was fed up with his constant suspicion and decided to take matters into my own hands. I started following his every instruction to the letter, no matter how ridiculous or unproductive they may seem. If he asked me to count the money in the register, I would count it out loud, one bill at a time. If he asked me to check the expiration date on a carton of milk, I would hold it up to my ear and listen for the expiration date. My manager was initially pleased with my newfound compliance. But as the days went on, my malicious actions started to drive him insane. He started getting complaints from customers about my odd behavior, and the store's efficiency took a hit. He realized that his constant suspicion was causing more harm than good. Eventually, he apologized to me for his behavior and agreed to give me more trust in my work. I was satisfied with my victory, but I made sure to continue following his instructions, just to keep him on his toes. The other employees, inspired by my story, started to stand up for themselves and demanded more trust in their own work as well. My manager ended up getting fired and the store became a much more pleasant and efficient place as a result. I couldn't be happier with the outcome, and I even got a promotion to a system manager. This is about our manager going through expenses. He hauls us in and tells all the engineers that they are not allowed to claim for using the toll bridge. He also puts an embargo on any overtime that is not arranged with him beforehand, so we do exactly as the manager wants. We do not use the toll bridge, saving the company 80 piastres a day. Instead, we use a long way around with an extra 30 miles and leave 45 minutes earlier in order to make sure we do not claim overtime. So complete compliance to the order was guaranteed. Hivetech continued that tradition for years. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.